Hi everyone, I'm Nadia, and in today's video, my mom and I are transforming this plain white key holder into a beautiful golden beach. The first thing that we're doing is unscrewing these hooks to make it easier to pour the resin. Then we mixed our resin for about 3 minutes and separated it into smaller cups to add the pigments. We have our 3 different shades of blue that we're going to be using laid out, and they are in the shades dark turquoise, peacock green, and malachite. Then we have this beautiful sparkly gold sand which we mix with resin to use as the sand on our beach scene. Then we start to mix in our pigments with our resin, and we mix for a few minutes just to make sure that it's mixed together very well and there's no blobs of pigment. I start carefully adding the golden sand to the bottom of the key while my mom starts with the darker pigment at the very top of the key. We made sure to prop the key up onto 2 plastic cups, that way when we add the resin, the excess can easily pour off the edge. I'm going to be carefully adding the sand all along the bottom of the key. And my mom adds the dark turquoise pigmented resin all along the very top of the key and leaves a few empty spaces where she's going to be adding the malachite pigmented resin. We use a wooden stick to help spread and blend the resin. Before adding our last shade of blue, we pour some clear resin right alongside the sand to create a barrier so the blue pigmented resin can't go over the sand area. With the wooden stick, I pull the blue pigmented resin close to the sand, but I'm careful not to have it go over. At this point, you can still see on the key where it says home, so we add some more resin over that area to try and cover it. While my mom continues blending, I take some gold spray painted seashells and place them in the sand area, and with the wooden stick I press them into the sand. Now the home is less visible and the holes where the hooks were in previously are also less visible. Then we use a torch gun to pop any air bubbles. When using a torch gun, make sure that it's constantly moving so you don't burn your resin. We continued adding our darkest shade of blue to add more dimension, but we realized that there's an area on the key where it's slightly indented, so all of the dark pigmented resin was pouring out through that area. We used our fingers to paint the edges of the key with blue resin. Then we placed an additional cup under the key in an attempt to even it out more. And here's the key the next day, so the resin has dried by now, and as you can tell, there's still that one area where you can see all the dark pigmented resin has poured out. So we are going to be mixing our dark turquoise pigmented resin again to cover up that area and also to cover the hole that you can see at the end of the key from the hook, as well as some clear resin and some gold pigmented resin to do the waves. And for the gold, we used gold mica powder. Then we started to pour our clear resin onto the key and used a wooden stick to spread it around. If you don't have a wooden stick, you can also use your fingers, just make sure you have the proper gloves on. We added a little bit more of the clear resin while we were spreading it around with the stick, and then we started to add the dark turquoise pigmented resin as well. We used a torch gun to pop any air bubbles, and then we started to add our gold pigmented resin right alongside the sand to do the waves. Then we used a heat gun to blow out the gold pigmented resin. We added a little bit more of the gold and repeated the process with the heat gun. We used the wooden stick to help spread the gold into areas where it couldn't reach. Then we added a little bit more of the dark turquoise pigmented resin in that area where that hole is still visible, and added more gold and did that process one more time with the heat gun. We use a wooden stick again to blend the gold pigment a little bit into the blue pigment. We waited until the next day until the resin was dry to drill holes in the key and put the hooks back in. These are the 5 little holes that we drilled to put the hooks back in. They aren't exactly where they were before, but that's fine. And voila, here is the key with all of the hooks. With the help of my assistant, I went over the edge where the gold sand is with a gold acrylic marker. So here is the final product. I love this clip of it in the direct sunlight. What's really cool about it is that the gold changes depending on which angle you're looking at it. So in some angles, it doesn't look like there's that much gold on it, whereas if you look at it from another angle, there's more gold. I'm really happy with how this piece turned out. My mom and I made it as a housewarming gift for my boyfriend's apartment. Here's a clip. You can see it's hanging on the side of a closet right by the entrance. He has all of his keys there, and you can see my little reflection because I was filming it with flash. I hope you guys really liked this video. If you did, please subscribe to see more videos like this in the future, and follow me on Instagram, Summer Girl Designs.